Hey everybody, this is Tristan from Beyond the Tent, and today we're going to be checking out the Haven Extra Large Hammock tent. It's a lot more of a hammock than a tent, but it's a really cool product that combines the best of both worlds together. So today we're going to be testing this out, reviewing it, telling you guys exactly what we think of this, and sleeping overnight in it. Let's dive in. So let's start off by opening this up, spreading it all out on the table, and telling you guys exactly what comes with the Haven XL. Then let's set it up, see how easy it is to set up and how long it's going to take, and then give you guys a review of what we actually think about it. So there's a nice couple little clasps here that holds everything together. The hammock itself, the hammock tent, weighs 5 pounds, and then the pad weighs about 2 pounds as well. So you have the option to buy them together or separately. Together it's going to be 7 pounds. If you just get the tent, it's going to be about 5 pounds. There's a nice drawstring kind of pouch. It's a pretty generic tent or hammock pouch that holds this thing in. Opening it up, we can see that I think we have the main hammock right here. And I'm guessing this is the rain fly. And these are some poles that will kind of hold everything up out of the way. So, if you get this opened up here, got a couple poles. We have some string, a couple ratchets, and some little pegs for our rain fly right here. The actual tent itself, if you get this opened up, it's another little clasp. And then this just unfolds. So this should be everything we need to set up this hammock. Got our poles, pegs, we got some rope here, and we got our little straps. So let's go see how long this takes to set up. So I got everything I need to set the Haven up, and it comes with a couple little instruction sheets on how to actually set it up. This will be my first time hanging up this hammock. I've never done it before. So let's see how long this takes. So I got the main part of the hammock set up. It was really quick. We just loop a couple straps around a tree on each side, hook a carabiner holding the actual hammock onto the straps, and then we just inserted a couple spreader bars. So now what I'm going to do is blow up this pad and put it inside the tent, and then the only last step that we have to do is put up the rain fly. I'd say it took around 3 or 4 minutes to blow this up by mouth. There is also a spot on here where you could just use a pump, so if you're RV camping, car camping, you could just pull up to the outlet, pop a quick pump on here. It should be filled a lot faster. But if you're taking this out like to the Boundary Waters up here in Minnesota, or some camping that you're going to need to be actually hauling this tent around and you can't carry like an electric pump with you, it's not going to take too long to blow up. It's about the same, a little bit bigger than any other just regular pad that you'd bring camping. Overall, that took about 10 minutes to set up. I'm not going to put the rain fly up quite yet so I can show you guys, and also because it is such a beautiful day here in Minnesota. The sun is shining, birds are chirping, and I do not want to be stuck under that rain fly just yet. I might put it up later tonight if it looks like it's going to rain. So as far as setup goes, it was really quick to set up, about the same time as your average hammock. There's a couple loops that we attach to the tree. And then there's just a little carabiner here we use to clip the hammock onto the straps. Inside, all you have to do is insert this bar here, which kind of keeps the hammock open at the top, and you're good to go. Setting up the rain fly is also pretty simple. There's just 2 little carabiners right here and 4 pegs. So what we would do with the carabiners is we'd hook the middle of the rain fly up onto these the strap as well. So it would go over the hammock, and then we just attach this rope to our rain fly, and then we'd peg it down on the outsides here. So it would just create a nice little V shape over our hammock. So now that we've got this hammock set up, at the start of this video I mentioned that it combines the best worlds of both hammocks and tents together, and let me show you what that is real quick. What this unique shape and design of this Haven tent hammock actually does is it provides you a nice, stable, flat surface, comparable to that of a tent, but you don't have any of the bumpiness or unevenness of the ground, and you can get this perfectly level. And what this does is it takes away the uncomfortableness of a hammock that kind of has a nice curve in it, and it'll also hug around your body a little bit. So I'm really excited to test this out. So yeah, enough talk about the specs. So let's get at it and see what we think. So let's get into the Haven for the first time. I'll take off my shoes here. That was pretty easy to get into. It's a really weird experience laying in a hammock that is perfectly flat. If we look down at the bottom of our hammock here, we can see that we have a nice big storage pocket there. We have a storage pocket here and also like a little water bottle or a flashlight holder on this side. Now the design of this Haven with that spacer there, the whole flat design thing, makes it so that you can have a lot of space in your hammock and actually store something. Like you could put your personal pack down at the bottom, have a lot of storage, and still have room to sleep in it. So it's a really unique cross between a hammock and a tent, and I think I'm going to really enjoy it. If we check in the middle here, we can see we have a couple nice loops. Great for hanging like a lantern or something from if you are getting into your tent at night. If we look on the other side, we can see we have the same exact storage conditions as we do on the bottom side of the tent here. You can use this tent the same way whether you're laying with your head at this side or your head at the other side of the tent. It's going to provide you with the same sleeping experience either way. There's also a really nice mosquito netting that folds over, and since the Haven actually is so big, it's pretty easy to reach over and zip it up. Oop, my zipper is over this side. I'm finding it a lot easier to move around inside of this hammock and do things because of that flat design. You're a lot more supported no matter where you go in this hammock, and it's a lot easier to do things. So it might be a little hard to change. You're gonna have to change either like sitting or laying down because there's not too much of headroom in this hammock. If we look at the corners, there's also another nice feature I didn't notice before. They provide a little like pocket where we can tuck our pad in here. Oh, that side's already done. So we can make sure it's not going to go anywhere, and it also just adds a little bit more support to this tent. It's a really unique feeling laying in a hammock that's perfectly flat. I'm enjoying it so far. I really like this tent. I think there's a lot of useful applications for it. In terms of ultralight backpacking, probably not too much. With the pad, this tent weighs 7 pounds, but with a trip to the Boundary Waters, a canoeing trip, I would be more than happy lugging this around to stay off of those rough rocks of the Boundary Waters. The only downsides I can see to this hammock so far is it is a hammock, so you're going to need to find a couple trees to hang it up between. You're obviously going to have a little less than a tent, but the Haven XL is really large inside. I'm about 5'10", with my head all the way up against one side of this hammock. There's about a foot of space on the other side, so unless you're over 6'10", this hammock's going to fit you. Now, another feature I like about the flat design of this tent is if you have this tent just sitting at your campground here, you can just sit in the middle of it while you eat your supper or something. Unlike other hammocks where you kind of fall into the middle of them, this provides really great support no matter where you are on it. So enough talk about this hammock. So you can tell I'm really excited by it. So let's actually spend a night sleeping in it, and we'll tell you how comfortable it is come morning. So I just had my first night of sleep in the Haven Extra Large Hammock tent, and it was really comfortable. It was about a 60-degree night, so it's perfect for sleeping. And one problem I've had with hammocks in the past is I'm a side sleeper, so whenever I try to sleep in a hammock that naturally curves on my side, it doesn't work the best and is really uncomfortable and forces me to sleep on my back. So if I was to choose one thing that is my most favorite thing about this Haven, it would be the ability to sleep on my side in a hammock. Gets you off the ground, gets you off those rocks. It gives you a really nice mattress feel. Lets your hips sink in a little bit when you're laying on your side and keeps you flat. So I really like that about this hammock. Overall, I think the Haven is one of the most viable alternatives to bringing a tent that we've seen on the market yet today. Its flat bottom design lets you have really good comfort in it, and it gives you a lot more space too, so that you can set your personal packing here. The one area that I can see a tent being more useful in than the Haven is for rainy situations. In rainy situations, you kind of want to bring stuff in your tent. You want to operate out of your tent a little bit. So having a little bit more space with more ground room to work off of could be more valuable in a tent. But a good alternative with the Haven is just to pack a little tarp, a little cheap square of plastic or something, because with the rain fly going over the hammock, it creates just as much dry space as an actual tent would. And then if you put a little bit of a tarp on the ground or something, it'll keep the ground nice and dry, so that you can leave your pack or something, your big Duluth pack. You could even cook from right underneath your tent out of the rain and still not have to bring a whole tent. Now, one thing I forgot to mention about the pad is that it's actually an insulated pad. So that means you don't need to bring a giant bulky sleeping bag camping anymore. You could just use one of these insulated pads and then a camping blanket. So overall, if you take the Haven Lay-Flat Hammock tent instead of a tent and a sleeping bag, you could be actually saving weight when you're heading out camping. If you're a side sleeper, the Haven is definitely for you. You're not going to get the same sleeping experience on anything else, even with a really good pad on an actual tent. I really like this, and I'm going to be bringing it with me instead of a tent on the next Boundary Waters trip I take. The extra large version could fit 2 people. If you're sleeping side by side, it's going to be really tight though, and you're not going to have any room for gear. So if you're going on a trip with a lot of people, a big tent is still going to be your best option. The Haven is perfect if you want to sleep apart from everybody else, or if you're just going on a trip with a couple people, because most campgrounds don't have the room for 5 or 6 hammocks. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you want to buy a Haven for yourself, we're going to have a link down in the description. I think this is a really unique piece of camping gear, and I'm excited to see more innovation like this in the future. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button below, and thanks for watching.